In part one, we discussed online music and gaming. In this second part, we're going to discuss digital books, e-readers, and also video. For digital books, still very much in its early days, and what we're seeing with the platforms is with both Amazon and Apple, they're bundling together the hardware and the platform, very different than gaming and music. Google is still very much a software platform-based approach, and Kobo is a bit of a mixed bag where they have own brand hardware plus platform plus white label hardware. The point on the e-books is the revenue models are currently all the same, unit pricing per book. There's very little difference. There's differentiation from Apple and Amazon on the hardware side, but with a very simple business model with very little variances, you'd expect price competition to be quite severe. There is a slight difference in terms of the segments that some of the platforms are going after, so as we witnessed recently by Apple launching a special product for the educational market. And we also have a slight difference with the Google Books in as much as it offers an affiliate model for physical bookstores, where Google Books will send you to a physical bookstore for a commission if you want a physical book rather than a e-reader copy. So, lots of price competition. This book, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, the prices range from £6.50 on Apple down to $2.70 on Amazon and Google. So this is to be expected when there's very little variance in the business model. In fact, it could almost be implied that the Amazon and Google margins are very, very low indeed in books. So just to wrap up with online books, it's very much in a nascent market. It's currently in land grab mode with Amazon Kindle having a huge, greater than 50% market share in most markets where it's been launched. We expect price competition to be extremely tough when markets are in a land grab mode, and this is what we're seeing in practice in the online books area. Book publishers, however, are extremely worried about market concentration and the traditional physical retail channels. Book chains have been closing down all over the world, and the publishers worry if they lose that storefront, will people still have the same interest in reading? Apple's moving the book beyond market beyond general books and into verticals such as education. They're also heavily supporting magazine publishers, which are ideally suited to the full-colour iPad. Google is still struggling to gain traction in the e-reader market. Its product is inferior to the Amazon and the Apple platform, and Google still has the Google Books search settlement to resolve. It is hanging over Google's head like the sword of Damocles. Finally, for telcos, there may be an opportunity in certain verticals, for instance, legal and medical. One can imagine the e-book requirements of a solicitor or a barrister, and we believe there's opportunities to sell bundles of products including hardware and connectivity and their specialist area with one service bundle. And of course, there's the billing enablers we already see on the Google Wallet is ready for operator billing. Moving on to online video. Various business models, very similar to the online music, with a lot of flexibility in the business models. So we have the download or the ownership model from iTunes. We have subscription models from Netflix and here in the UK and Germany, Love Film. We have bundles. So what we're seeing in the online video is that the traditional pay TV suppliers are being very aggressive in rolling out their services online as well as through DTH or cable. And they're offering these all in with the normal subscription price for their pay TV services. We're seeing ad-funded models, so YouTube, the master of user-generated content, but we're also seeing the main free-to-air channels having a major presence in the online market. Examples such as the ITV player or the BBC iPlayer here in the UK, and you've got the free advertising-funded Hulu example in the States. Piracy is big, and this is not just in films, as typified by Pirate Bay, but we're also seeing pirating of online events such as sports. There are some providers who are selling subscriptions to sporting events, which such as the English Premier League, which are available live on a Saturday afternoon before they even go on TV. In the movie market, we see a phenomenon called windowing, which in economic terms is just a way of price differentiation. So, for instance, products get released in theatres, then they get released home video, then they get released premium pay TV for a period of time. This is just a way of capturing the full market demand at various price points. So the highest values at the theatres and the lowest values is when they sell films to the free-to-air channels such as the BBC. What we believe will happen in the online video market is that we will see content mirroring the existing windows that exist in the physical world. And we're seeing this to some degree. So, for instance, films are available for rental or purchase in the iTunes store before they become available on the subscription services such as Netflix. And we're even seeing some movies in that first premium pay TV window remaining exclusively with the networks such as HBO and Sky. Subtle shifts we've seen in the business model in the USA. So, for instance, the YouTube remodeling and giving out $1 million advance on ad sales to 100 celebrities means to us at Telco 2 that we see YouTube making a subtle shift from user-generated content to a TV channel-like approach. What we see with the main network-owned Hulu is we've seen a subtle shift in 2011 away from an ad-funded model to a subscription model, almost becoming like a basic cable TV. We see Netflix moving away from a pure movie basis to selling dramas of complete runs of episodes such as Lost, rather than selling the big films such as Avatar. So moving away from a pure movie service to more a TV service. And we see Amazon with the launch of their video service to their Prime customers. We see Amazon moving slowly from an ownership model, as personified by Apple iTunes, more towards a subscription model. If you compare this to the TV world, you see YouTube as a ITV or an ABC, Hulu becoming more of a basic cable channel like FX or TNT, Netflix moving away, moving more towards a HBO type approach. And Amazon, ultimately, it's all about shopping, so I suppose we say Amazon's more like the shopping channel. Okay, so to wrap up with online video, online video platforms are shifting their business models. We're very early in the day on online video, and we see them moving and experimenting with new and better models as they move towards profitability. Traditional video platforms are much more of a challenge in video, much more than you see in, for instance, music. The traditional networks are moving online and have the advantage of ownership of prime rights and decades of relationships with the content creators. Video is much more balkanized than other types of online media. So the UK market and the French market will probably end up with very different structures, more mirroring the traditional broadcast video platforms than global video platforms. Telcos have a long tradition of partnering with film content. Probably the best example is Orange, who's promoted for years in the UK, free tickets on days when theatres are not busy, and more recently film downloads from iTunes in with mobile subscriptions. We see telcos having a role in film both as a retailer, both as a loyalty example such as Orange, and as an enabler. But the biggest decision that telcos face is whether they're going to invest in a retail pay TV platform. Incumbents such as Orange in France, Telefónica in Spain, and Deutsche Telekom in Germany are investing heavily in these pay TV platforms and showing early signs that they may be successful, whereas mobile telcos, which have very little fixed assets, may struggle with pay TV platforms. So to wrap up with some concluding comment for telcos about the online entertainment world. Telcos admittedly are late to the party, but opportunities exist, both in bundling and enabling services for all types of online media. Despite the hype of the long tail, most online revenues are still coming from the hits. Telcos do not need to build the vast catalogues that you see of most online platforms, especially in music. Emerging market strategies will be very different than developed markets. I think that's a given. Lots of online platforms are struggling to gain scale, and partnerships with telcos are therefore possible. A lot of online platforms are willing to strike up partnerships to reduce their risk and gain access to the telco subscriber base. We are very confident that a lot of mutually beneficial partnerships can be struck. Finally, games, music, books and videos, as I think I've shown you in these two presentations, each have very, very different business models and market structures, and telcos need to have separate strategies for each of the entertainment genres.